Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to. Crap. What the heck do we call this thing again?
Why am unscripted? Oh, so I say why am uncensored?
Yeah.
Wait, it's unscripted, right? Or is it uncensored?
It's unscripted.
Is that scripted? Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to Waham Unscripted, a podcast series dedicated to talking about issues for the youth, from the youth. So today we have a myriad of interesting guests, me included. My name is Abdurrahman, and then we have Sanya,
Assalamualaikum.
Hafsa,
Assalamualaikum.
and Wahaj.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alright, so today's topic, we're going to be talking about your relationship with family. This is something that possibly every person struggles with. Every young person who's ever rebelled knows this struggle, me included. It should be a very interesting one and hopefully a very beneficial one for everyone here. So I'm going to start off by asking a question. Does anyone have any embarrassing moments that they want to share between them and their parents?
I think I got one.
Got one? Alright, go for it, man.
Alright, so when I was small, right? So I was in elementary school. I would take the school bus in the morning.
And I'm in class, and she had been sitting out there for over an hour, and she thought that I had gotten kidnapped because she was like, my daughter, as she's like, I'm calling my daughter, she's not answering the phone. The building that I was in has absolutely no reception. So she calls the RA goes up to the room, there's no one in the room. So then she goes outside, she's like, y'all have 5 minutes to find my daughter or I'm calling the police. So she's going off at all the people in the dormitory, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. And then I get, I'm like, you have picked me up every week at 12:30. Why did you come at 11:30? And she goes, oh, it's 11:30. It's 12:30, not 11:30. And then ever since then, my RA was like, "Oh, is your mom gonna come?" And it was crazy. So I was so mad.
Nice. Parents are awesome. All right, moving on. While we're on the topic of parents, developing a healthy relationship with parents is probably the most difficult thing to do, especially if you're an immigrant. You have immigrant parents and they weren't born here. First question is like, how do we develop a relationship with our parents and have them trust each other, trust us? Because she obviously wasn't trusting Hafsa to come back after the dorms. Or trusting Wahaj to get into a random person's car to go to school. Where does that trust come from? I guess I'll start with a story for myself. This happened to it kind of happened to my little brother, and it kind of goes into what Wahaj did. But one day, my little brother, for some reason, did not want to go to school. And so he didn't want to walk to school. We used to live like literally right across from school. So he just sat on the front porch of the house. He obviously didn't show up to school, so my parents got a call saying, "Hey, your son's not here." And my mom's like, "What are you talking about? He left in the morning." So immediately she calls the cops, and they're like looking everywhere, like down the block. And me and and so my dad gets a call from work. He comes home. We get a call from like our school. We come back, and we're like on our way back, me and my brother, and we just see someone like sitting on the front porch. And I'm like, what the heck? So we look in, and it's just my little brother sitting there. And we're like, oh man, he's so dead. And so, we find him, and then she's like, don't you ever do that again, blah, 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 and all this stuff. But it brings up an interesting question. We're so afraid of our parents that we'd rather do something else rather than confront them about it, right? And like if Wahaj was too scared to talk to his mom about, hey, I missed the bus, I'm sorry. If he'd rather get into a stranger's car, like that's that's next level, man. So developing that relationship where you can have an open conversation with your parents is very important. My relationship with my parents was very, very shaky. We came here when I was 9 years old, and we were basically not allowed to do anything ever. It was like go home from school and then study and then repeat. We lived next to the masjid, but we were not allowed to leave the house premises at all. And over time, me and my brothers, we developed a relationship with our parents that helped us get comfortable letting them go out with friends. And it just kind of grew over time. We got involved in the masjid a lot since we lived close to it. And we got involved in a youth group there, which eventually turned into the YM that we have today. Does anyone else have advice on developing a relationship with your parents?
I think just talking to your parents it's a great start, and it's all it really takes when your parents pick you up from school and they're like, "Oh, how was school? What'd you do today?" And you're like, "Nothing." I mean, obviously stuff went down at school, right? You didn't go there 7-8 hours and not do anything. But, just being comfortable enough to tell your parents just the little things that happen throughout your day, that really helps build a strong relationship with your parents, because eventually you'll be comfortable enough to tell them everything happening in your life.
Yeah, talking is huge. And our parents, I don't know about your guys, but sometimes our parents aren't the greatest at talking back. But, sometimes you as the child have to open that door, because our parents come from a mentality where you aren't allowed to talk to your parents. Whatever they do, you do. No questions asked. And it's just, there's no relationship there with your parents aside from taking orders. But that's not healthy. It's definitely not. Especially when we grow up here, we realize that that's really a bad way to grow up a family. So we have to initiate and talk with our parents. Like, even though Wahaj would have probably got a beating after he's like, "Oh, I missed the bus," because like after the beating, his mom would have been like, "All right, let me drop you off," or something, right? And it just opens up that door. Yeah, go ahead.
And I was going to say, we really have to credit our parents, especially immigrant parents. They gave up their comfort and their lives and everything to come to this country so that we could have better lives. So for us to just completely not even take any of that into account and just, say my parents don't understand me without trying to initiate any kind of communication, that's completely unfair for our parents.
Exactly. And it's really weird because when I started working on my relationship with my mom, especially, for a long time, I'm like, she's not going to understand what I'm going through, and there's no point in talking to her. And come to find out, when I got older, she goes, "I know I don't understand everything that you're going through, but I'd rather you just tell me and I can maybe try to understand. So it's like, it was like working together with the whole thing. It wasn't, she knows, she's aware that she can't understand everything, but she rather me tell her what's going on than for her to hear from some other person, or for her, well, they don't want to talk to me, it's not important, you know what I mean? And yeah, they might not ever understand truly what you're going through, but they just want to know what's going on with you. Like, you are their child. They just want to know that you're okay, and that you trust them and respect them enough to go and talk to them.
I just want to mention one thing as well. Like, I think one thing that with parents you gotta understand is like where they're coming from as well. They always do everything for a reason. Like, for example, with me and my dad, sometimes we always had a stingy relationship, and the reason is because he was always protective of me. And like, when I say overprotective, like he was more overprotective of my mom. I never really understood that until later on when I grew up. He actually like sat down and told me one day, when he was young, he didn't have a dad, because his father passed away when he was at a young age in like a car accident. So that's why whenever like I would ever do anything, I'd run around as a kid, even as a baby, I'd crawl far away from him. He would grab me immediately. He was always overprotective. When the parents, they say no to something or do anything else, we'll have to develop an understanding, and later you might not know it then, but you find out why they're doing it. And it's really just because they care about you. And I think that's like a really big thing as like kids, like we never understand what our parents do it. Why our parents are so strict on us, why they do this. And a lot of people say you don't understand it until you actually have kids yourself. But it is possible to understand it from before, just by talking to them, just like everybody else mentioned before, and then you create the understanding, and that's where a better relationship starts from.
Right. Yeah. Like when I want to say middle school, we had friends. We lived next to the masjid, and there was another Muslim family that lived literally like 5 apartments down, and they were also Muslims and they're our age. So one day they invited us over to play Pokemon at their house, and we all had Game Boys. That was the thing back in the day. I think it was elementary school. Yeah, we asked my mom, and she's like, "Okay, cool, you can go." And this is the first time we're going to like somebody else's house. You can go, but you have to be back by Maghrib time. And we're like, "Oh, okay, cool." So we all go there. They're hanging out, we're fun, and then obviously we lose track of time because we're kids. And we come back, it's way past Maghrib time. It's like almost Isha. It's like, we come home, we open the door, and my mom's just like sitting on the couch. And like that in the movies where there's like one light to your parent, and we see that, and we're like, oh crap. She goes off on us. She's like, "What are you guys doing? Why are you there that long? Don't you have any respect for their family? Like, they probably have to do stuff." And we're just like, "What are you talking about? We were just having fun." And now, if I'm leaving the house, I'll tell them, "Hey, Mom, I'm going out." She's like, "Okay." And then maybe she'll ask me what time I'll back. And if she's not, she's like, "All right, there's food if you ever get back, if you didn't eat already." And then she, if I come back, I'll tell her like, "Oh yeah, I'll come back late." She's like, "Okay, I'll be sleeping." Like, she doesn't care anymore because she trusts me that I go out and I'll be responsible. And a lot of it came from when I moved out and went to college. That had a lot to do with me building a relationship with my parents, because when you get out of the house and you live on your own, you actually really respect everything that your parents did for you, especially your mom's cooking. Oh man. And then whenever I'd come home, like it'd be completely different. My parents saw that I was growing up and that I'm able to take care of myself, and my brothers included. So it really helped develop our relationship in a better way.
And I think the important thing to remember.
Go ahead.
Thanks. I think the important thing to remember about all that is that you're not just going to wake up one day when you're 18, 19, 20, still living with your parents. Your parents are totally going to trust you, when you go out, right? It takes a lot of work. So you have to start from when you're young and build, that communication and that trust with your parents so that, when you're older, they have that trust in you, that they're not going to be like constantly asking you every 5 minutes where you are when you're coming back and all that stuff.
Yeah, going off of both of what you guys said, for me, I know the trust building started when I changed my friends. When my mom was comfortable with who I was going out with, it changed her whole perspective on things. Before, I was hanging out with a lot of non-Muslims, and then I started becoming more involved in the masjid. And then she met the girls, and she was like, "Okay, these are the girls I want her to be around." So when I started changing for the better, or started taking Islam more seriously than her whole perspective, because she's like, you know what, she's getting it. Now she's not going to go off and go wild as Americans. You know how they say Americans act. So that was like really important for my mom, was who I was hanging out with. As long as she's like, okay, I trust those people that she's around. I don't think they're going to take her to places that she shouldn't be around and that type of things. And now I go out and she's like, okay, just let me know when you get back. It doesn't matter what time I get back. It's just go. I don't care anymore. You know?
I think like one thing this generation like doesn't understand at all is to call your parents, man. Like when you out, if you just call them, they know where you're at, they know you're alive. That's good enough. And I do it with my friends a lot. Sometimes their parents will call them and they won't pick up. I'm like, that's the thing that pisses them off the most. That's why they probably won't trust you, is because if you're not going to pick up their phone call, not going to give them a call, you're not letting them know where you're at. That just like, it just destroys the trust right from there on.
Definitely, dude. Speaking of calling parents, so, you know, for the neighbor net that we have here, you know, when I was in charge of it, one of the things that really bugged me was when guys would get a call from their mom and they'd be rude, you know, to their mom. Like, why are you calling me? Don't you know I'm at NeighborNet? I'll be fine. I'll go home at this time. Like, I'll be back. Don't call me, stuff like that. And that would it would bug me so hard. And I would have like straight up yelling conversations with them. And, you know, it goes back to what Sonia was saying earlier about, because most likely your parents were not born here. And if they were, they came here very young. You know, if they're immigrants, they gave up a lot, like literally everything they had to come here and make sure that you have a better life, right? And especially your mom, like, does so much for you. Like, you can get in a fight with your mom the day before and think you're the boss and you're not going to talk to your mom because she was wrong, blah, 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 all this stuff. And, you know, you're super rude. And then next morning, she's like, oh, by the way, here's breakfast for, you know, school. Do you have your backpack? Here, let me drop you off. And, you know, you're trying to be like the tough guy, not talk to your mom. But your mom is still looking out for you, even though, you know, you guys got in a huge fight yesterday or whatever. Moms are just amazing people overall. And to be that rude to your mom, I don't know, it just really bugs me.
Yeah, and even I was listening to a lecture by Sheikh Yashid Rajaz, and he was saying when the ayah in the Quran talks about treating your parents in the best of ways, he goes, people always translate it to say to respect your parents. He goes, but actually when you look further into it, it says to treat your parents in a beautiful way. You don't have to agree with what they're telling you, but you have to treat them in a beautiful way, as in, yes, you're going to butt heads, like exactly what you're saying. Yes, you're going to butt heads, but sometimes, you know, you need to take a step back and just like, you know what? A mom especially, it's a mom, and then the father. You know, like your mom holds so much in Islam, and the respect that you have for, like, it should be so far and in between, because she does so much to you, and you will never understand how much she does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Does anyone have any challenges that they had with their relationship with their family, or with their parents, that they want to bring up? Something that really they struggle with and finally able to accomplish, or they're still doing? I know for me, one of the things was just like talking to my parents. That was super difficult, and I basically built that over time. And how I did it, how me and my brothers did it, was we would just talk about stuff that we learned, you know, Islamically. We'd just be like, oh, because we started going to Maghrib classes and different classes that were offered, you know, Islamic classes that were offered in our community. And when we would learn it, we would go home and we'd tell our parents. And that would kind of open the door for other conversations. And slowly and gradually, we built that relationship where now, like, one day, I don't know if I want to say this. You know how there's like the half hijab when girls like wear it halfway, right? My mom does that a lot. And I should have told my mom, I was like, Mom, just wear it or take it off. Like, this doesn't make sense. She looked at me, she's like, what? I was like, whoops.
Damn, bro, you say that to your mom, bro?
Yeah, right? It came out, and I was like, well, this is not going to end well. But then she looked at me and she's like, no, you're right. She's like, I don't know, I just do this because there's something. And I shouldn't have said that, I'm sorry. But if this was like 5-6 years ago, man, I would have got like the beating of my life. But
I think that's still a challenge for me too, is because my mom realizes, well, both my mom and my dad realized that their Islam is very cultural. So my mom said that she really didn't understand Islam until she moved to the United States, because what she thought was Islam actually ended up not being Islam, and what she thought was culture was. So she goes, when she moved to the United States, it made her really realize what was wrong and what was right and what was really part of Islam and what was just all the added stuff. So even like now, sometimes I'm like, you're not supposed to be doing that. And at first it was really nerve wracking, but now she's like, now we can have real conversations about that type of things, because I think now she's like realizing, like she told us a few weeks ago, she goes, you know what? I'm really thankful that we were able to raise you guys in the United States, because she goes, your understanding of Islam is much better than what I grew up with. And she goes, like, I learned so much from you guys. So I think sometimes, taking that step and saying, you know what, I'm going to correct her is like a huge thing, because she is like your authority figure and that type of thing. So now I'm still nervous to say stuff, but if you just do it in a nice way.
Currently, like, what my mom does now is to, like, she'd come up to me and she's like, hey, what do you think of this and this girl? Why? She's like, well, you're about to graduate. And I was like, please stop. Just stop talking. Can we stop talking now? It's hilarious, but my mom will do that to bug me. But yeah, it's just building that relationship over time. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
You should just tell her what I'm going to say. You're good. If we're talking about like from a cultural thing, one thing with both of my parents, my mom, she was like she used to like support, like she was like strictly like Jamaat Islami, and like my dad was hardcore TJ, like straight up hardcore. So like I grew up with like two different understandings. I'd hear one thing from my mom, then hear one thing from my dad, right? And then like I always face the thing was, I guess I just came into like having understanding. Once like when I was in elementary, middle school, like I wasn't that much into learning about Islam. In high school, like I got involved a little bit more, and like I definitely like developed like a better understanding and everything. I talked to scholars about it a lot. It definitely coming closer and like learning knowledge about Islam just like brought me closer to my parents as well.
So I think overall, developing a relationship with your parents is something that definitely happens over time. It's not going to happen overnight, one day magically. No matter how much dua you make, you still have to put in that effort, and that's something that Islam is very keen about, is action with knowledge. So we're gonna move on. Let's move on from parents, because we've been talking about them for a while, and let's talk about siblings. Siblings, you have a very different relationship with your parents than you have with your siblings, hopefully, and it's a good relationship, hopefully. So I have two brothers. How many other siblings does everyone else have?
I have one younger brother.
Okay. So
I have 4. I have 3 sisters, 1 brother.
I'm so sorry for your brother. But well, Haj, what about you?
I have one older sister.
Okay. How does one develop a relationship with siblings? I mean, that's the question I feel like answers itself, because you just, over time, you get to know your siblings more than anyone else. And I know me and my older brother, we were like, we did almost everything together, because we were so close in age. He's only 1 year older than me, and everything that we did was like a dynamic duo type of thing. And we got in so many fights, and just growing up with a family of just brothers, we used to get in a lot of fights. But now the fights have stopped, because I've grown bigger than him, and he doesn't pick as many fights with me anymore, which is hilarious. But for your people that had younger brothers, have you ever been overprotective of your younger sibling?
Yes.
How so?
Like if I know that he's about to say something dumb or like do something dumb, I'm like, no, please do not do that. Or I remember once he was really little. I think he was maybe 6 or 7, and he was play fighting with his friends. And so I was like, girls don't do that kind of stuff, right? And so I saw him and his friends it looked like they were beating each other up. And I was like, oh my God, my poor little brother. I like ran there and I was, oh my God, are you okay? He's like, you're being so embarrassing. We're just playing. Can you leave? And I was like, I was so upset, because I thought that like my poor little brother was getting attacked, and he was like, you're embarrassing me. Can you leave? And I was like, oh, sorry.
you know, like with younger siblings, like, or other siblings, you're like, oh, I can make fun of them and I can say stuff to them, but other people can't. Yeah, like with my little sister, like she's a year younger than me, but she's like really tiny. So she's in college, but people swear she's in middle school or in high school. Like she's so small. So especially in high school, people would pick on her, and it got to the point where like some of the stuff would get back to me. So at one point, like this one girl really like got under her skin, and the girl came and she was like, hey, I've been looking for your sister. Like I want to apologize or whatever. And I'm like, well, you can find her and apologize to her. But she's like, can you just let her know that I'm going to come apologize to her so she will actually speak to me? So when I talked to my sister was so mad. And she's like, why are you getting involved? And I'm like, first off, I just want to make sure that you're okay. But I'm like, second off, you're going to have to defend yourself. Like, you can't just let people continue to talk to you that way. I might make fun of you, but I'm your sister. But when other people doing it, you have to put your foot down. You can put down your foot with me, but I'm still your older sister at the end of the day. It's hard trying to balance, but I just couldn't deal with people making fun of or messing with my younger siblings. You get this super protective, like some people say, you get this super protective thing, and then you kind of get hurt when like they don't want to take your help. And you're like, I'm just trying to help you. Like, stop trying to be cool around your friends, or stop trying to act tougher than you really are.
Almost sounds like a parent. Waj, was your older sister ever overprotective of you?
Yeah, she was. She was pretty strict. Like, I don't know. She used to like act like my mom sometimes. She used to act kind of strict and stuff too. I used to like yell at her and be like, "You're not my mom" and stuff like that. But not like she did move out. Like, and she has kids now. I guess like I trained her pretty well and everything like that. But it was supposed to be a joke. Yeah, but yeah, she was overprotective though, and she would be strict and stuff like that. But then again, she would be kind of like more of like somebody I would talk to before I would talk to my parents and stuff like that. Yeah, basically, she was like more of like a role model for me back then.
Yeah. Me and my older brother, since we were so close in age, we would fight for the older brother position. And sometimes, like on certain topics, sometimes he'd be like, "You're an idiot. We do this way. You're the little brother." And sometimes I'd be like, "Dude, you're an idiot. You don't know how to do anything. This is how you do it." And then we just sat. And then my little brother, he's 3 years younger than me. So with him, it was kind of hard for me specifically building a relationship because there wasn't much I could connect with him. I mean, the only thing we had in common was video games, and he played a lot more than me. And so I didn't like that he could beat me in almost everything. So I never really wanted to play with him. We would just be like, me and my brother, I know together we would be overprotective of him, and just trying to get him out of trouble because we'd be like, "Hey, we did it this way. This was stupid. Don't do it this way." But then now it's like we don't need to do that anymore. He's super smart. He's smarter than both of us. And he knows what he's doing in his life, and we don't need to overprotect him of him. So, sometimes, like, this guy is like, if you ever want to like someone want to handle your finances, like, you should go to my little brother. Like, he's like super good, and we'll go up to him and be like, "Hey, so what are you doing? With this and this?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm doing this," and I'm like, "Okay, cool, thanks." But yeah, it's our relations has been interesting with my parents, with my siblings. Anything else anyone want to share in terms of maintaining or nurturing a relationship, some challenges that they face with their siblings?
I mean, just to kind of recap on what everyone else said, and I mean, same goes with parents, like just talking to your siblings. My brother is 5.5 years younger than me. So for me, sometimes it's kind of difficult to find something that, we can both talk about that we'd both be interested in. But like, if I never make that effort, or if he never makes that effort, then, there's not going to be a relationship. So it's a challenge for both of us, but like we both try, and like that's what matters. It pays off because, I know like when he comes to me for advice, it makes me feel so good. Like when, Wahaj is saying that, he sees his sister like as a role model. I don't know if you'd ever say that to her face, but like if she ever heard this, she'd probably like be so happy. So like, I know if my brother ever said that about me, I'd be so happy because, as an older sibling, like all you want is, for your younger sibling to look up to you.
It's like, yeah, that's never going to happen.
I guess, like they say, like, you don't appreciate something until it leaves you. I appreciate my sister more now, and I talk to her about like get advice more from her now since she doesn't live with me anymore. I say, and like I look back like now since we did, even though like she was older than me, we still used to fight. One thing like I say is like if you have like younger siblings right now, you're still living with them, you just don't always fight that much. Because especially for my parents, like she has like six siblings. One lives in Germany, one lives in Australia, one lives in Dubai, one lives in Pakistan. So like you'll be scattered around the world. They see each other like once in like 5 years now. That's for like the time you have. Don't always be fighting. Spend some good quality time with them, and don't take that time for granted with your siblings.
Yeah, definitely.
My mom, when the 4 girls, we used to butt heads a lot. My mom at one point sat us all down and she goes, the way you guys are acting as siblings is ridiculous. She goes, I'm the only sister. She's out of 9. So she goes, so she's got 7 sisters and 2 brothers. She goes, I'm the only one in the United States of America. Everybody else lives in Africa. And she goes, do you know how much I would love for them to be around me? And then you guys are right here next to each other and you guys are always fighting. Like she goes, these are your siblings. Like this is who's going to hold you through life. You're always going to have them. Y'all need to work on this. Y'all need to be friends. And she even told us later on in life, she goes, as much time as you spend trying to fix relationships and having a good relationship with your friends, you need to be doing that exact same thing with your sisters and your siblings. She's like, you spend so much time worried about your friends, but you won't even give that same time to your family. So she was like, sometimes she puts like a hold on the house. Like none of us are allowed to go out. Like we have to have like a game night or a movie night or something where we're just hanging out with each other because it's important.
Yeah, definitely. So I think we're almost done here. So, let's bring it back to kind of talking about the family overall. Combining that relationship with your siblings and your parents is what makes for a healthy family, And if this is not something that you have developed over time, it starts with just talking, just simple talking about random things with your family, with your siblings. Just getting the family comfortable with talking to each other is the perfect first step for you to building that relationship. And in Islam, family is one of the most important things that, is talked about, having that relationship. Because, like Hafsa was saying, we have, friends, friends come and go, you'll make friends that you'll know for a very long time. You'll make new friends that are amazing. And you'll have friends that'll go away. But, family's there forever. No matter what you do, those blood ties will be there forever. So if you haven't spent time with them and you haven't built that relationship, it's only going to hurt you, later on in life when you actually need them and they're nowhere to be found because you never spent that time with them. Cool. Does anyone have any other closing remarks? All right, I guess we're done. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. I hope it was beneficial for you guys. I know I learned a few things about, how Hajj's embarrassing moments are with his family.
Hey, low key.
And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.